Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Sports are the most important thing in the world, especially if your shirt cannot be cleaned. But in the meantime, if it can, turn to the Fan Garage, also known as FG. Say it together quickly with me. Fug, 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 fug. Fan Garage. All that you want to know about sports, especially cricket and football. Is there another sport? Check out new episodes on our IVM podcast apps. Happy listening, mother and fathers. Alright, please note that the language and ideas presented on the show might not be suitable for everyone. If you're under 18, make sure your mom isn't around. If you're over 80, why is your mom around?
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we talked to Atul Kasbekar on Cyrus Says, photographer number 1 who shot everything from nudes to me. Okay, and me nude. Why, we'll never know.
Why follow your auntie's advice when you can follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated about the latest shows?
You know, this cashless society concept is getting to me. I don't think it's the right phrase to use. It sounds like we have no money. Cashless India means India with no money. I think we should go with plastic-less or plastic-ish India. Because India itself is becoming more plastic. Relationships are becoming more fake and insincere. So I'm all for plastic India or plastic-ish India. Forget cashless, go with plastic-ish. It's called Cyrus Says.
And that's what Cyrus says.
All right, many years ago, just post-independence, I met this young photographer who at that point was the rising star of photography and arguably still is one of the biggest names India has ever produced, Mr. Atul Kasbekar. I'm now going to play some music here before you start talking to make you sound like a triumphant monarch coming back home. I would use a epic analogy, but that may land us in trouble. So I won't have you coming back after many years from a forest. I'll just have you coming home. Atul Kasbekar, before we talk about the main ingredient, which is this lovely NGO that you put up, and we'll get into that in a big way, let's quickly tell people, the 3 people who don't know who you are, that you started off as a photographer who was trained abroad, came back, and you're in that first generation of photographers almost, out of which I think by now you're the only name everybody knows, because that whole generation has sort of faded away. But you're the reinvent man. If you look at Atul Kasbekar, I know it's a difficult question to ask you without sounding immodest, but you've done so many different things. You've worn hats right from the photography thing. You've moved on. You got into the art business. You've started one of the first talent, if not the first talent scout business in the country. And then you got into Hindi films and with super success. You've modeled yourself. You're a crazy football nut. And you're an internet sensation. So, Mr. Atul Kasbekar, and you're a father.
Of 2.
Which is by no means a small job. I mean, we put it right up there. Of two, and well, with all those models hanging around in your heyday, brother, we don't know if there's a couple more. There's also a calendar I want to discuss, but that's a little controversial because that poor gentleman is getting a lot of flack. But we'll come to that as well a little later. But Atul, just summing up the different things you've done, you've now reached this point where you sort of want to give back to society. You have this very good idea. Tell us about it, which is fathers and daughters.
Well, actually,
you haven't said a word. I've been talking for 15 minutes.
You know, I was going to say that thank you for welcoming me on the show, Cyrus.
But I played music.
You did.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope there was a drum roll in that music. So.
Come on, this is a very poor production. We have one guy clapping, hopefully to a beat. Yeah.
Okay. So, to be fair, Nani Kali has been started by Anand Mahindra somewhere in the mid-90s. Mm-hmm. And it's something he wanted to do in terms of girl-child education. For me, I just felt at one point it was a bit of a calling, so to speak. And after that Nirbhaya incident that happened, which was, I think deeply affected a lot of people, me included, I just thought that, let's make a quantifiable difference that you can actually see on the ground and you know where your money has gone. I mean, case in point, with no disrespect intended, if you gave money to some relief fund, so to speak, you have no idea what actually happened. Did blankets reach the flood areas? Did somebody, get the medicine they needed?
In the old days, the Chief Minister's relief fund, we thought would relieve the Chief Minister. He can now relax. It's like his benefit series.
Yeah, so,
I notice you're not saying anything.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to be good. I still want to live in the city, Cyrus. Yeah. You, on the other hand, people don't take seriously, so it's fine.
I can just go into a pothole and disappear.
It has to be a huge manhole.
Which is what happened to Malishka, a very famous RJ, by the way. You'll never see her again. Oh.
Anyway, so I spoke to Anand Mahindra, who I've known for years, and I said, listen, I'd like to contribute with the one thing I can do, which is take pictures, and I'll rope in colleagues. And what we'll do is we'll offer our services effectively for free. And here's your big chance to get a photo with some of the better known names in Indian photography, in advertising photography, and we'll take some pictures of only fathers and daughters. Okay, and that's because primarily, other than a couple of states in India, we mostly end up being a patriarchal society, and it's important for the man of the house, so to speak, to send a message that I'm really happy with the fact that this offspring of mine happens to be female, and that's what we wanted to do. So the first year I got Dabbu to help me, and
just explain. Dabbu is not a dish or a container. Dabbu actually is another famous photographer.
He's a very worthy colleague, Dabbu Ratnani.
Yeah.
He was he has
to
two
pay
daughters.
10% of all his earnings to you, because you're the first generation. These are the next one.
Yeah, I got that all worked out.
Yeah,
so.
and rightly so.
But so Dabbu was nice enough to come on board, and after that we've shot with me along with Colston Julia and Jaideep Oberoi. This year, the Suresh Natarajan, Nisha Koti, Prasad Naik.
Oh, all names I remember. So not that young. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now let's just understand the process again. So you'll shoot them, and then how does it translate into money, or how does it help benefit anyone?
What people do is they basically, you get a print, and which is archivally printed on the best possible paper and ink. It's also retouched, so we make you look a little slimmer and your skin a little better, etc., etc. Dads, please note. And
this is important. Vanity is part of the whole deal. Yeah.
So it's on this year. It's August.
You don't want someone to say, "Beta, aapka grandfather ka naam kya hai?" You don't want that. Yeah.
No, August 5th and 6th at Mehboob Studio, but you need to register in advance.
That's a great idea. Let's repeat that. 5th and 6th, Mehboob Studio in Bandra, right next to Shah Rukh Khan's house. Go there, ask him. He'll show you where Mehboob is. And you get to, some of the biggest names will be there, taking a photograph for free with your daughter. Or if it's the daughter listening, get your father to come there. This is a once in a lifetime moment.
You know, this is interesting you should say this, because... and what I had not anticipated, stupid of me, but there were a bunch of women who were in their 30s and 40s and 50s who showed up with their fathers.
Older fathers, yeah.
And there was a gentleman with his bow tie and his suspenders and, honey, is my hair okay, with a walking stick and, his Sunday best. Fantastic.
And it's amazing how the dynamic changes. I think at that age group, she's leading the father literally.
Exactly.
And the father capitally, where are we going? And that kind of thing. And I think that's very cute, actually.
No, it's very
40-year-old women with 70-year-old fathers would be fantastic, yeah.
And if you are, receptive to energies of people and of spaces, I cannot begin to tell you how incredibly warm and fantastic just the whole inside of that studio is.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing. It's just a full. It's an entire room just full of unbridled affection and love and warmth.
And in case you don't know who your father is, Dino Moria will be there. So I think we can work out things. We can work something out. No, but jokes apart. So it's 5th and 6th August, Mehboob Studios in Mumbai, in Bandra. Everybody, it's an iconic place. Everybody knows it. Nobody knows who owns it. That's another story.
But you need to register first.
But you need to register online?
Yes, you can go to the Nani Kali site. It's all over Facebook.
Nani Kali all across Facebook. Probably very simple. Is there a simple website, or you can't remember?
No, it's
we'll
Nani
patch
Kali.
it in at some point, because we're so lazy, you and me. We'll get someone else to do that. All right, so that's Nani Kali. What about the personal issue here? You have a son and a daughter.
Yes.
Do you feel, growing up in India, like there's so many examples of men trying to procreate because they have, after 4 daughters, they still want a son, etc. Is there something you'd like to share about your daughter and you and the relationship between father and daughter?
Listen, one thing that's beyond clear is that daughters at all ages have their dads wrapped around their little finger. I'm sure I speak for you as well.
Oh no, I can't say no to anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I sound like my wife with me.
So it's no matter how old they get, how young they are, they just have this, their daddies are wrapped around the little finger, and that's true in my case as well.
And amazingly, without putting the son down, because they've done such great work for India, males, also there's statistics to show that over 70% of senior citizens are looked after by the daughter and very rarely by the son as you age. So if anything, if just for your own matlabi reason, don't forget the daughter is your best bet. And it's really strange that all over the world the percentile is in favor of females, at least in the Western world, and here in India it's the other way around still.
No, it occurred to me quite clearly some time ago that the world is definitely a better place thanks to women. And if you haven't figured that out by now, then God help you. So.
Which brings us to Mayawati, Sushma Swaraj, Mamata Banerjee and Theresa May.
All interesting.
But still better than Donald Trump, according to you. Atul, we'll move back. We'll come back to this again because this is the center of why you're here. But this show we do, which is arrogantly called Cyrus Says. I tried to call it Arjuna, but they said it makes no sense. So I'm calling it Cyrus Says. Is we get interesting people to talk about their lives. And
you're the new Simon then.
Something like that, yeah. I'm just a guy outside the studio they found. There's no other reason. But we try to find interesting stories of people who go off the beaten path. And I think you're completely off the beaten path because you come from a, this upper middle class South Mumbai background where you would have been a banker or, a lawyer or a businessman or one of those cliche engineering jobs or whatever. And if I'm not mistaken, you almost did that.
I quit engineering
you
to be a
quit it and then,
photographer.
So your story, and it's interesting because the story goes back into the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah. So at a time where it's very difficult to go against the norm. Now, of course, it's a different world. So let's just rewind a little bit into Atul. In camping, you were very good at sports, very good at education. Head boy?
Head boy.
There you go. So you were the first child of your school in a sense. What happens after that? What were you going to do?
I was in Jai Hind College for my 11th and 12th.
Engineering was it?
Science, yeah.
And then
if you were bright in those days, I had really good academic grades. You just sort of assumed you'll become one of those doctor, engineer, lawyer kind of thing. My dad had a chemical factory, so it was just assumed I would do something in chemistry. Fact was, I actually enjoyed chemistry. I like chemistry as a subject.
If we give you a test of equations, you'll balance them right now off the bat? H2SO4 plus CaCO3?
I think I'd be able
Damn
to...
you, Atul! Damn you! I gave you a chance. Please, I don't know the answer. Don't say it. We'll be exposed, yeah.
So, I had the grades to get into UDCT, which was the number one chemical engineering institute in the country at that time. I did 1 year and then realized that this wasn't what I wanted to do.
But where would photography come from? You're this, if I remember correctly, you're very good at your sports. Where would photography come from?
No, so I just realized that this was not what I wanted to do, which was chemical engineering. I realized I'd be the world's worst.
Was it because there were 89 boys and 3 girls? In the class?
that sort of helped.
And some of them were called non-girls in those days for some reason I can't explain.
No, they were very bright, but there were exactly 3 in a class of what was it, some 40 or something.
And you can't date them twice. Okay, this is from after the father-girl talk. Here we go.
You're a walking lawsuit.
Oh, God, really? I think I have to go back to Trumpism.
It's a good thing most Parsis are lawyers.
When you're prejudiced without knowing, that's just like an art. Sorry, back to you. So you said I can't bear this anymore. It's too dry.
So I spoke to a couple of people. One of them being Gautam Rajadaksh, and the other was Prahlad Kakkar,
who was a very, very big name.
Yeah. And which was fun because the crux of that conversation, they were kind enough to speak to some schmuck who walked in off the road. That was me.
You had no contact with them?
None whatsoever. There was, it was literally a cold call.
And you weren't even a young model, so for Prahlad to be interested.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. So
note, I didn't go with any gender.
I
this
noticed.
is for the sake of the show.
I noticed. And then it basically worked out that he said, look, you know what, just identify what it is that you enjoy doing. And because most of humanity goes to work. And if you enjoy what you do, you're never really working. That made complete sense to me. So I figured the only thing nobody had to tell me to do was take pictures. In those days, sports as a career didn't really seem like an option. I mean, you're like, no, really? You play so that you get marks for your 12th standard, that kind of thing.
But you're a pretty decent cricketer, no? I remember playing a game with you and you hit the ball a long way. So what was your big sport?
Cricket and basketball.
Because of your height.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Atul is like 9.5 feet and everything is in proportion, ladies. Again, not something I should say on this show. Coming back, so you decided you want to take pictures. Did you ever take pictures going back to your college days? Were you one of those guys who carried a camera?
No, routinely. In fact, in UDCT, we went to the Annamalai rainforest for a...
Picnic?
Camp. And I shot a bunch of photos. And
engineers at a camp.
Yeah.
Who would miss that?
Yeah. And we put up the pictures and, people asked me for copies.
Untrained hand.
Yeah, untrained. And people asked me for so many copies that I started marking them up a little bit. And I made like $3,000 in those days, which I thought, oh my God.
This is what Colson charges today. You mean man.
Stop it. So
let's understand. So you just shot, you had like backgrounds in mind, or did you have all that in your head?
No, I shot stupid pictures of my sister, my dog, sunsets,
like that.
And assorted nonsense.
It's more like fun.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the process.
But the aesthetic part of it was very much there in your head, or that all comes later?
Yeah, I think came later, but I always had a keen interest in art because in our family, I think the only culture was in the yogurt. So.
Oh, nice. Worked on that gag. Yeah, AIB, is it? The next generation, huh?
No, it's an old but tried and tested.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, because... I remember telling my dad, as I went to a friend's house, you know him actually, Farhad, Tarapurwala.
Of course.
Yeah, and they had a really nice Hussain horse painting, which I think he still does.
Or they claimed it was Hussain. Anyone can sign, huh?
No, but this is, I think I was in like the 10th or 11th, and I told my dad, listen, I think you should buy this artist because he's amazing. I had no idea he would be huge or whatever. I just loved the work. And my dad was like, how much is it? I think it was like some 50,000-60,000. He thought, are you insane?
We can buy the artist.
Yeah, so goes to show.
Yeah, but let's get now quickly fast forward. So you decided, how did you land up in Santa Barbara? How did the American connection happen?
No, my dad was quite decent enough to realized that I wasn't exactly flippant. So, I'm not going
When you said photography, he didn't absolutely
No,
fall
he
down.
lost his marbles completely.
Yeah.
Because please understand, we are Gaud Saraswat Brahmins.
I can imagine.
Who,
You're head boy of Campion. You're the guy who's double MBA, double engineer. It should be something like that.
I had the principal and a whole bunch of my the professors from Campion call and say, "Are you okay, son?
What are you taking, Atul?
Yeah, whatever it is, stop." So anyway, but that was fun.
And not knowing there's worse stuff in Santa Barbara where you were going. Yeah.
But there was a TV serial at that time.
Yeah.
And my dad thought that's what
God.
they did in Santa Barbara.
That terrible soap opera
Really bad.
worse than the Hindi ones.
Very
where they
bad.
Just stare into camera for 15 seconds and don't talk.
No, I had to keep telling people, no, that's not what we do in Santa Barbara.
That's the ill effects of Santa Barbara. But so, where does it come from? You research. There's no Google, Who would help you? How would you know?
There was
Where would
something
you
called
start?
the United States Educational Foundation, USEFI. So I went there, did a lot of research, and there were a couple of people from India who were there already. A guy called Nikhil Jhaveri, Palan Daruwala, Sumit Chopra, in fact, was there. So I spoke to a few people.
Just to point out, Sumit is much older. That is clear fact. Yeah.
So I figured Brooks. There were two choices really: Brooks or RIT, which is in Rochester, upstate New York. The temperature in the winter drops to some minus 10, 20, ridiculous things. So I said, okay, I'm going to go where the tropics seem more likely. So.
Safer for our Maharashtrian upbringing in a tropical country with mangoes. So Santa Barbara. Now, as quickly as we can, Atul, I'm sorry to push everything, but I want to talk about so many other things. You go there, you do a course, and then your world changes. You suddenly
I did
realize
a 3-year program, then I worked for a year in LA with a bunch of people because you were allowed to do that in those days after your degree. And then I came back with a bunch of equipment and started. And I went to agency after agency saying, hello, this is my portfolio, give me work. And it just rolled on from there. LC Nanji gave me my first break, as did Rahul Dikunia. And
which was what would be your first big campaign that you remember?
so that was Park Avenue with Rahul Dikunia and Prashant Godbole.
Shirts.
Yes,
Yeah.
and accessories. And
They
my
were-
model was Mohan Kapoor.
Wow, this is only we understand what's
Correct.
going on here.
And he
but
was-
Prashant and Rahul were a crack team, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
they were
in
a
those
crack
days.
team at Lintas, and he gave me a break. I'm very grateful for that. And it was fun. The campaign was really well received. And then LC Nanji gave me a big break with Vadilal Ice Cream. And then there was pretty much no looking back after that.
Yeah, and then of course we'll fast forward a little bit from because I think at some point you left photography behind and became a businessman. Is the next step the whole
No, I think
talent thing?
I like looking a little ahead, and like photography. Objectively speaking,
But let's keep in mind here we about 15 years. 15 years photography.
25.
25 years of proper photography. Burning the midnight oil, long campaigns, etc. Yeah.
I have a shoot tomorrow. I have a shoot on.
And it's still,
Monday,
of course, it's still
so,
going
yeah,
on. But you're now wearing 5 hats. So when did you get the idea? As you said, looking ahead.
So when I came back, I looked for an agent because
Black and white photography was getting obsolete.
because
Color had come in.
The people I worked with in LA all had agents, and they did what they did best, which was shoot.
Right.
And the agents went and procured the work for them, schmoozed the art directors, showed the work around,
You just
got
turn
the
up and
payments.
shoot.
Yeah, and these guys just focused on the job, which was fantastic. So I come back and say, I need a artist representative, if you please, and there was no such thing. So then you had to go and sell yourself effectively, which in photography pretty much you're still doing. And it was always at the back of my head that artists or people in the arts should be represented, should not be discussing their own business. And hence I started, in 2003, I think it was, we started, no, one.
Yeah, a
we
little
started
earlier.
Matrix, and
Correct.
then I split from there, and there's Bling now. So.
Which is handling all kinds of things, not just film actors, but all the way down to models. Not down, that's the wrong word. Models, artists, anchors.
Yeah.
Do photographers fit into that?
No, as long as I'm shooting, I don't think it would be fair.
Fair enough, yeah.
So-
But in the fullness of time, it's possible. But before we take a break, one very important question: nude photography, always a challenge.
What about it?
Awkward pause.
No, I thought you were going to proposition yourself
I wanna know
as
what
a
it's
model or
like.
something.
That's it. Oh God, Jesus, who would want to see that again? No, just tell us, Atul. So how does that work?
I think there's to be a lot of trust between the subject and the photographer, and I think the naked body is a beautiful, beautiful thing, honestly. Especially if it's...
But like you've told me so many dirty jokes in the locker and all that, So like if it's my aunt who's going to model for you, for example, my aunt who used to be my uncle, so it's a little bit of a problem. How would you handle that? I mean, what happens? It's like when
It's your aunt, Cyrus. I can't take her seriously, as I don't you. So
you put the shutter down basically before. Yeah. So who's your favorite person to photograph? Okay, that's a mean question. Top 5 that come to mind.
No, I'm happy to tell you. I think everybody's favorite would probably be Malaika Arora. I'll tell you.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you an interesting story. Years ago, when Deepika Padukone was a model and starting out, and So she must have been like 19 or something. And I was doing a shoot with...
Oh, so she says.
No, she was 19.
How do we know? These women come from nowhere. 19, they're 19, I'm 40, they're 19, I'm 50, they're 19, I'm 60. It goes on.
Her
Check if Deepika's 19 right now. Somebody.
Her aunt was the gynac who delivered my twins. And she said, will you please meet Prakash's daughter? And I'm being a sports nut. I said...
Yeah.
I mean, effectively for me, I was meeting Prakash's...
Fair enough. I have the same idea. If somebody says Deepika, I'm always thinking Prakash's daughter. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure for a lot of people now, he's Deepika's dad.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
But anyway, so coming back to the point, as I was shooting with Malaika, I think it was for Cosmopolitan, and I told her, just come to the shoot. It was at Mehboob, in fact. I said, just sit at the back and just watch this woman work the camera. And when you think you've seen enough, you'll...
you come on.
No, you can just take off. She was watching the shoot with Malaika, was with Malaika, So Deepika came there, sat there, and at some point I said, don't say goodbye and then just leave, when you've seen enough. I mean, she's a revelation. What she does in front of the camera is just magical.
Yeah, easy to work with. Malaika, if you ever listen to this show, we're both your fans. But you still owe me 450 rupees. Sorry for another day. Atul, we have to take a quick break, then we'll come back. I'm sorry if I lace it with my personal issues, but I have to see a psychiatrist.
450, this is plus GST? Or?
Well, and that too in Maharashtra is double. No? There's the SGST plus the CGST. There's no end to it, man. Why don't you stay in Santa Barbara? We'll take a break and come back.
What's the best new restaurant in town?
Which bar sucked?
What's the worst new Hindi film?
What's the most obscure thing to do on the weekend?
And what's the most interesting new walking tour?
If you want to know how to make the most of Bombay, listen to the Podcast by thedailypow.com. We are Pronuti,
Amit,
and Purva.
We're your guide to what to do, see, and eat in the city. You can find new episodes of the Podcast every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer, and on thedailypow.com.
Yes, back here with the Sultan of Swing himself, Atul Kasbekar, and I've got a huge biodata, by the way, which I didn't even know. So I know you quite well, at least I think I do, because I know you since I was, 18 or 19. But here it's written that you're the face of Nikon in India and the friend of the brand to Volvo and Carl F. Butcherer timepieces. Now, for those sophisticates like myself, what does that mean?
So there's a lot of brands that see you as an influencer. With Nikon, I mean, I guess it's the obvious thing because...
Your photographer, etc., good marriage, yeah. Then, but what exactly is the brand, friend of the brand to Volvo and friend of the brand to Carl F. Butcherer timepieces?
Bucherer.
I knew that. I was testing you, Atul. You're right. It is Bucherer.
So, amongst my many interests has been an interest in timepieces. Please note, I don't call them watches.
Oh, is that... I had... Why, you mean a timepiece is a watch?
Is a watch.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just a nicer way to... Because I think there's a lot of effort that goes into making...
But is it something you strap or is it something on a mantle?
No, it's just a beautiful watch.
Okay.
So Carl F. Bucherer is a niche company that has had me on board for a few years now. And basically it means that I wear their watches and...
Now, speaking of the internet for a second, and these brands are huge names and highly sophisticated sort of brands... How the hell did you latch onto that? And how did you get this huge following? You've got a huge following on the internet.
I don't know. Maybe I'm interesting.
No. So honestly, because were you one of the first people to get there?
On Twitter?
Do you have a certain... is there a process that you want to share with us so we can all become big?
I just think it's been consistency, and I believe the internet audience has certain likes and dislikes, and they follow people who, So, for example, I think I have a disproportionately large people who follow football.
Yeah, you do.
And I've been into football for the last.
And for those of you football crazies out there, Atul Kasbekar can go to any EPL game anytime he wants to. They just fly him there, and I think also the La Liga, perhaps.
Not the La Liga, but EPL, yeah. I mean, I can get
EPL,
tickets. He's
like a brand ambassador from our side. So if you meet him, talk to him, maybe you can go with him. Just put it out there. You don't have to take them.
No, but I've been going to Arsenal football games for the last 20 years, almost every year.
And Arsenal's your choice, or
is the team I've been following, and
the one that Chelsea hammered recently.
In a pre-season friendly, but we beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final.
No. It's always about the last 48 hours, man. Don't talk to me about what happened last year. This old hat. It's like first battle of Panipat. Who cares now? It's over. It's dead. Don't bring it up. Present government doesn't want to know. Yeah. Okay. So internet sensation. There's also a couple of things we haven't explored yet. The Kingfisher calendar, which has become a very iconic thing. I know Kingfisher's gone through a terrible, Dr. Malia has gone through a terrible sort of PR situation, but the Kingfisher calendar carried on coming out, and it's everybody knows. It's hilarious. When we do stand-up or we talk to audiences or you meet people, everybody knows about the Kingfisher calendar.
So I think due credit should be given where it's due, and I think if you think of burgers, you think of McDonald's, you think of calendar, you think of Kingfisher, which I think is an exercise in brand building.
It's actually wiped out all other calendars. There's no other name in India except Kingfisher calendar in terms of calendars.
And I think a lot of people have attempted to be there, and it hasn't worked out. So par for the course there in terms of, and give due credit. Now, coming back to the brand itself, the brand is now owned by Heineken, the Dutch beer giants, as you know. So UB has been sold to them.
Correct.
And
so the baton has been passed on, so to speak.
Yeah, and they see no reason to stop an iconic property. So in fact, I think we sent you a copy, so you do know.
We have it in the gym.
Yeah.
We keep it there for the conservatives who don't want to see women in less clothing.
So I'm going to Croatia to shoot this one.
Oh, wow.
The 2018 edition.
Excellent.
And we were in Mykonos for the 17th edition. Which
what a hard life. And in between Arsenal games,
it's tough.
Really, you really suffer, brother, really. Thank God you didn't do the engineering. Now, when you think back.
Somebody had to pick the short straw.
Fair enough. But let's talk a little bit about Dr. Mal just for a minute. He gets a lot of flack, perhaps rightly so. Bills haven't been paid, etc. But you've had a very strong relationship with him for many years before that. What was he like?
He's been a really good friend, and I've known him from the beginning of the calendar. I didn't know him before that. I mean, how the calendar started was I had an idea. I made some scrap art, and called him up and said, I need to meet with you. And I rehearsed this whole pitch I was going to make for like 40 minutes. 10 minutes into it, he said, this is great, go for it. And that's that. And I think the UB group threw a lot of muscle behind making the property an iconic one. And it launched a lot of really, really big faces. And I think it overtook the beauty pageants as the go-to place to find talent. And here we aren't, you're not expected to bring about world peace or any such sham like that. Please understand.
We don't get them to talk.
Exactly.
It's just there on the wall.
Yeah, no, we just want you to look great. So, I mean, from, since we're talking about Yana Gupta in the first edition, Deepika Padukone, Angela Johnson, Isha Gupta. My God, the list is long.
Angela Johnson is Indian?
She's half Indian and half Icelandic.
And half Johnson.
It's the Johnson with the J.
Stop it.
JONNSSON.
Enough. I say stop. We'll come back to talk with the girl child in a minute. Yeah. What next for Atul Kasbekar? Because if you look at the path, although of course photography is you and symbolizes you and you symbolize it and all that, and it's always going to be part of you, but you've always sort of had something else opening up. It's like you open fronts all over. So what next? Is there something else up your sleeve?
Well, we produced Nirja, right?
And won all the awards in the last 6 months, apparently.
Yeah, it was quite amazing. I mean, you
just come back from IFA, yeah.
You can't write that script, for the success of your movie. And so we pretty much swept the Best Picture and a whole lot of technical awards as well. Due credit to Ram Madhwani for being an amazing director. And I'm really glad that for all the years he spent in the process of trying to make a
film.
Hindi movie.
One ad film.
And Hindi movie is that I was part of the process of bringing him to life.
Why did you choose him? Why? Because he was famous for his ad films. Why would he come to mind?
I've known him. Our history is really old. As in, he was doing an ad which involved a basketball player, and he couldn't find someone to play the part.
Oh, you modelled. I remember that.
And I did that for him.
It was a Lemonade, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Duke's Lemonade. And
how can we see the brand? Duke's is right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a favor basically because he said, "Listen, I'm screwed. I need someone to help me."
So you're like the mafia. 20 years later, your long hand reaches out and says, "Now, shoot my film."
Payback. We called another director actually. Who was an established director.
Who remained nameless but was called at that time?
Yeah, to direct Asia. And he basically said that he didn't see any merit in the story because she dies in the end. So I'm like, okay, by that logic.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. So
who's the director?
It doesn't matter.
Rhyme his name.
No, Cyrus.
Is it Pohit Petty?
No.
Is it Baran Bohar? Come on, give me a name, yeah. Is it Banje Vila Vanzalu? Come on, it's got to be someone.
You are so bad. That's your idea.
No white clothes.
No white clothes. So anyway, he basically said that he didn't see merit, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to. Every story doesn't appeal to everybody. So, and his logic, I didn't buy because by that logic,
it's a real story. What are you going to do?
No. So you shouldn't then make a movie on Bhagat Singh.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the film, no matter what you do,
change the ending.
Exactly. And Milkha will come forth.
Yeah. Only in Russia they used to do that. They could just change the ending.
Change the ending?
Yeah, just make a film and say, okay, Russia won the war. Whatever, it's over. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm sure they do that in North Korea.
Well, they're doing that in the American election. It's not very clear. Go on.
Anyway, so then I just figured that there is no reason for anyone who's established in the industry to talk to a first-time producer. So why don't we talk to people jahan pe hamari auqat hai, you know what I mean?
Correct.
So
you went back to your South Bombay bro. You little classist, elitist.
Well, he's just down the road from my office.
I know.
Famous studio. So I said, Ram, can we catch up for a cup of coffee at the Atrium Mall? And before the coffee was over, he had said, yes, we'll do it. And it was based on a 7-pager that Simon Quartus had written.
Right.
The Atria Mall has since shut down, but we had nothing to do with that.
Film broke all records, but sadly the Atria also broke down with it. So lesson to be learned when he's having a meeting, if it's your restaurant or outlet, his film will run, but your outlet won't. So
may shut
remember
down.
that. Okay, Atul, so we've talked a lot. Let's get back to the main concept here, which is
Nanni Kali.
Nanni Kali. What is Nanni Kali? Small Kali. So let's get back to Mahindra's NGO, Nanni Kali. And the event, of course, Proud Fathers for Daughters, is at season 4, at Mehboob Studios, August 5th and 6th, 2017. Followed by that huge August 7th date, which is my birthday, for which do not bring anybody. On the 7th. 5th and 6th of the
Are you calling us over for some Parsi food, maybe?
Yeah. Why not? Really. I've no social contact. Huh? I've broken down. Ask Madhav who works for you. Yeah. Which is something we'll talk offline. Okay, once again, repeating, it's an initiative conceptualized by Atul. And this year we have photographers like Jaideep Oberoi, Colston Julian, and
Prasad Naik, and may I add, there's also Suresh Natarajan and Nisha Kutti.
Excellent. They'll take pictures of fathers and daughters. The funds raised from this initiative will go towards helping...
Sending girls to school.
Sending girls to school across the country.
Across the country.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Nanni Kali is active in about 14 states. And
this on the eve of India almost winning a World Cup in cricket, and I think the female sportswomen actually coming of age. If you look at badminton, if you look at tennis, if you look at athletics, so it's a time where hopefully...
I mean, the last Olympics, I think...
It's all girls.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the funds, of course, 6,000 rupees is the registration fee. But remember, this is all going for a good cause. And especially if you are a daughter or you're a father of a daughter, think about this. All right, it's only 2 days, so don't waste time. Maybe they'll have another season very quickly, but for now, this is it.
Well, 1 year later.
1 year later. So, or maybe something in between. We'll push you. 5th and 6th August, Mehboob. That's the key thing. Atul, you'll be there, right? After all this, your name is not mentioned in the... Are you taking photographs or not?
Of course I have.
Or you just going to correct these juniors of yours. Yeah. Colson, come here, boy. Move the shutter. Okay, 5 quick questions as we close. Atul, so what do you do to relax now? Because you've got all these things that you do. You're running a business. At the end of the day, you're running a full business as well. And you've got this internet which keeps you awake 24 hours. And it's a business for you as well. You've got photography, which is always there, something or the other. And you've got all kinds of other things. What do you do to relax?
I pretty much read anything that passes my desk. So I read a lot.
Have you read the GST? How to...
Just backwards, forwards. I can sort your GST
Can you?
problem.
Can you? Remember, it's not a train station in Mumbai. People get confused all the time. No, come on, tell us. So, other than reading, what do you do? Do you go out anymore? Do you still have an active life?
Yeah, I go out. I go out a fair bit. I'm my new kida, by the way, is studying whiskies.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm collecting whiskies.
It's just to piss off that old man of yours, Pradhat Kakkar, because I think that was his thing.
Was he?
All the different alcohols and all.
No, I think cigars was his thing.
He's moved there. He's got worried.
Yeah,
a bit of a complex.
Cigars.
Yeah.
So whiskies and so collecting interesting bits and bobs from around the world. And
can you tell me what makes Bagpiper unique? Why?
Ajay Devgan's ad.
Unfair. And before that, Dharmender. Don't forget. Yeah. All right. What about sports? You're always a sports nut. You play things. How do you keep fit? You're still fit?
So I play volleyball on the weekends in the building.
This is with young girls? Again, this is after the NGO we launched. Sorry.
Not on the beach. It's on the grass. And apart from that, I do kickboxing 3 days a week, which is fun.
And the old cricket bat stays in the room?
Yeah, I think, those days are now a little... Once in a while, I want to go play tennis, but I want to get my swing back.
Oops. Atul Kasbekar, photographer first, everything else second, but his NGO along with, Anand Mahindra's NGO, which Atul is now sort of directing. It's at Mehboob Studios, Bandra, August 5th and 6th. Please go. Please do your bit to help the girl child get an education. It's $6,000 is a registration fee, and you can take a nice picture with your dad, or your dad can take a nice picture with you. Thank you, Atul, for being here. Do I sound like Larry King? I've modeled myself on him.
You look like him.
Damn you. He had 4 wives by the end of it. And 3 heart attacks.
You're still working on your verse.
Yaar, kuch nahi milta hai aajkal. But I think with this NGO, I think we shouldn't have this conversation. Come back again.
You better show up with your daughter.
I should.
On that weekend.
Yeah, but she's only 10.
That's perfectly okay.
But so with her, she's 40 and they appreciate us.
No, you should. Okay? And don't be a world-class conjuice. Come there.
I'll be there.
Even though I would take your picture for free, but this is nice.
But not my daughters. Let's not overdo it. Fair enough.
Are you confused about your future education options?
Not sure about whether you should be doing an MBA?
Or if design school is the right fit for you?
Are you worried about how you would finance your education?
Find answers to this and a lot more education-related topics on this podcast.
Hi, my name is Atul Kasbekar. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OnCourse.
Hi, my name is Alisha Mashruwala. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OnCourse.
And we both are your co-hosts for the OnCourse podcast. Tune in every Monday on the IVM podcast app or any other podcast app you may like.
If you have any questions for Cyrus, write to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Okay, Atul has left the building, but joining us now, two other rock and rollers, a man whose partner's name is Simon Pillow.
It's Nick Pillow.
Nick Pillow.
I just corrected you like 2 minutes ago.
And I still said it wrong. Early Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And of course, Amit, who runs this entire production. And apparently is a philosopher at heart. Spends 2 to 3 hours every morning in the bathroom without doing any bodily function. Which is just only Indians can do. It's amazing.
Because Amit's door is broken down.
Is that the reason, Amit?
I had a story yesterday.
No, but
it's a very funny story, by the way.
If you look like Amit, you don't need a door. How are you going to break through?
Yeah,
okay, quickly tell us the story. What happened?
It's his uncle.
Your uncle broke it.
My uncle got locked in the in the loo, and he had locked the door to the room as well before he went into the loo.
Shit!
And
Oopsie! What is he hiding? He's a man like anyone else. The fart sounds are the same. What is he hiding?
He had gone for a shower, right? So he wanted to change in the room, and so he locked the room and he locked the door. And the bathroom door got stuck, and so he got locked in. And I have a small bathroom; it's not a big bathroom, so I started getting claustrophobic. So he started
mobile phone.
Nope.
Oh my God! It's like the 60s. Yeah. You're telling us a story from the 60s.
I know. So he started banging the door and stuff like that.
Oops.
Finally, is
there a window connecting out?
There is it's a tiny little window. The window is literally 3 feet this,
and you can't put your head out.
So my servant jumped out of the window, jumped out of the kitchen, and then climbed across and came into the thing. My uncle jumped out of...
This is a man or a monkey?
Well, so it's not that bad. It's an enclosed kind of area. My uncle decided to do the same thing. He's like, I can't stay here.
How young is his uncle?
My uncle is 76 years old.
Are you kidding me?
I am not
kidding. He walked out on a window, what do you call that?
So it wasn't a window ledge exactly. It's kind of like, it's like a parapet.
He exited the flat.
He exited the flat into this area where the air conditions and stuff are kept.
And you are rich people from Malba Hill. And those of you who are not rich people from Malba Hill, see how we suffer with Malba lives? This is every day in our lives, bro. Every day in our lives, an uncle of ours has to climb the scaffolding like a peasant laborer and get his way out of a shower and find his way back to life.
Bathrooms or no bathrooms.
Yeah. So what is the difference between our life and the life of somebody in the interiors of Nalasopara who share one community bathroom which is broken?
Well, they're not on the 10th floor, so that's not as dangerous.
There are no 10 floors as of now. Nalasopara, no 10 floors. I apologize. You're from Nalasopara. It's a lovely place. I've been there. But AMA time.
Yes. First question. How did you and Kunal Vijayekar become friends?
We didn't. I'll tell you very quickly. Kunal Vijayekar came to audition for a play called Ali Baba and Faltu Chor Kumar, one of our leading pantomimes. I played Faltu Chor Kumar. And Rayal Padamsi and Pearl at that time, who was alive. So we sat around a room and these guys came to read. And he was one of the guys who came to read. And Rayal had a boxer at that time, boxer dog. And the boxer dog and Kunal looked exactly the same. And we just loved that fact. Because 3 of the kids said, look, doggy and uncle look the same. And everybody was like, yeah, that's a great observation. This kid is probably Tanmay Bhatt today, one of the big comedians of the day, who at that time was a kid trying to audition. And Kunal was terrible. Because he still today he reads scripts really badly. Like he's so lazy, he won't even bother to get into it. So everybody else is pantomime overacting like a monkey. Everybody else is going, Faltu, watch out! Here come the dacoits! Oh, run! Bhago! Oh, kha jayega! That's the kind of level of intensity. And then it cuts to him. He's playing the father of the girl that Ali Baba falls for. And he goes, beta, don't go. Cough. You stay where you are. What is this word? Brusha, what is this word? And then from there you go. Yeah. It was like the word, but everybody was laughing at his expressions, his bad reading, and just the way he was coughing through the whole thing, because that time he used to smoke 60 cigarettes a day. And so, and cigarettes were not banned, so it was in his mouth half the time. And with these 4 kids staring at this uncle who was obscenely obnoxious, completely disconnected from them. All of us were insincerely pretending to like kids, because we all wanted the part. And he's the only guy who was so disconnected. And that's how we became friends, because we did the damn play. 2 of the worst actors India's ever seen together on stage. And I mean Kunal alone. And then, after all that, we went drinking. And you bond over drinking and eating.
That's why you become friends. You become friends over drinking.
Males bond over drinking and eating. In your case, it's a little more. But males bond over drinking and eating.
Or joints sometimes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to get into all that, but just for the record.
What kind of joint you didn't ask?
No, I won't even get into that. I'll just simply say that we ate. Butter chicken is what brought us together. In fact, his claim to fame is Body by Butter Chicken. It's one of his great lines. Yeah. It's been borrowed by many people.
Yeah, but I would watch him on Foodie a lot. And I was really inspired to do what he does.
And that's the only medium he's sincere on. When he talks about food. Everything else, he hates comedy. He hates people. So I don't know why he even bothers. But he loves food.
There's one time where he was just like suckling on bone marrow on TV and enjoying it. I'm like, wow, this is like a cool job.
Nalli Nihari is like he will bend. He'll suddenly become a ballerina. He'll do anything you say. If the terrorists catch him and they want answers, they have to just take a Nalli and dangle in front. Yes. This is where the government is hiding a nuclear arsenal.
Yeah, no. We went to Neil for lunch and he ordered Nalli Nihari. I remember I went with you and
he loves Nalli
Nihari for lunch.
I know. He can't resist. He's the kind of guy who won't die wondering. He eats whatever he wants because he has a very aristocratic mind in terms of food. So, whether he has the money or not to match it, it's a good life. Yeah. Don't pity this guy.
No, I don't pity him at all.
All right, next one.
Cool. While we're on food, next question is by Preetham. He says, have you tried...
Preetham, musician?
No.
The Korean musician.
This one hasn't copied anything. So
you don't? Why? I said Korean is not enough. You friggin' comics are all the same.
The question is original.
You all take a shot with the same guys. Rahul Gandhi, 10 guys.
I don't do those jokes.
Don't do Rahul Gandhi jokes. He's got a Parsi, you bastard.
No, I do Namo jokes.
Namo? Okay, then you stick to Rahul Gandhi. Can I give you the agenda?
Okay, have you had Hyderabad's biryani recently? What do you think about it?
All right, so this lecture I got from Kunal and a few others. Firstly, let's understand that there are more biryanis in the south than the north. Here are all the myths that explode. Tamil Nadu has the most number of biryanis.
Oh yeah, Tamil Nadu
has the most number of non-vegetarian. People don't know this. 65% are non-vegetarian.
And delicious food.
Because you grow up with Tamrams, you just presume everyone's vegetarian. That's not true. That's urban South Mumbai, South Delhi kind of experiences.
Right.
Okay, it's all bullshit. Second, Lucknow, the biryani is a pulao. The famous Lucknowi biryani is a pulao. The Hyderabadi biryani apparently is a biryani.
It's spicy. Right? It's very spicy.
It's a question of dry and wet.
It has to do with how do you cook it, right? Do you cook the meat inside the rice or do you cook the meat on top of the rice?
Absolutely right. And this from a vegetarian who converted to non-vegetarian, RSS to note. Coming back, so I personally, unlike Kunal, I don't analyze so much because I think after some time it becomes, I don't know why people do that to food. I watch the master chefs and everything else. And after some time, if you're telling me about the culture, the pigmentation, how long, how little, how much, which came first, what came second, how you cut, how you must not cut, how dry is the meat or the salad or whatever, I think after some time it just loses it. So for me, it's all about the taste. I do the same thing with the opposite sex. I always look at them with lust and immediately I don't actually go, some people do that. Oh, what a lovely neck, what a lovely chest, what shoulders, whatever. But it just comes together in one shot. Yeah. Same thing with food. So for me, I absolutely adore the Hyderabadi biryani. It's something I've eaten a lot of and I love it. What about you, Amit? You're a big foodie?
I'm not a rice guy. I don't eat rice at all.
What are you saying? What kind of Indian doesn't eat rice? Where are you from?
Rice. India.
No, you're not. I've never known an Indian like this. Get out.
I just don't like rice, man. The only time I eat rice is in your Parsi Dhansak.
What are you saying? I love rice, but I flip rice to dinner instead of lunch so that I can get that sleep, that carb high. Because now at my age, you can't have any other highs. So the carb high is what I go for. And then I can...
my problem is exactly that. Rice puts me to sleep.
No, not for lunch.
No,
not the way we eat.
No, but even for dinner, it puts me to sleep. And I don't like falling asleep as soon as... I get really tired
What the hell do you
do
after dinner?
Well, I don't want to go to sleep like an hour after dinner.
Well, what's there to do? I'm married, I'm telling you there's nothing to do.
Okay.
Plays basketball after.
Just keep eating and faint. Your basketball.
Stuff to do, man.
Basketball with your fingers is not basketball. That's a different game altogether. Let's move on.
As long as balls are involved.
Stop it! Call pillow.
Mahim Gautam makes a comeback. He's like, would you ever sit across so-called spiritual gurus for a Q&A session?
We should call these guys on. Our top 5, we should call them on. If they're listening, Mahim Gautam, Briefless Attorney, guys like that who are recurring and recurring from our early days.
Correct.
We want to honor you and get you on our show.
Yes.
So please write in to us and maybe we can organize that. It'll be great fun.
Yeah,
reach
send
out
us
to
an
me.
email.
It'll be great fun. And probably stand you a little bit of kebabs, lunch, veg if, we've got everything here. Non-veg, veg, whatever you want.
And Gatorade.
That will never come. Yeah.
Alright, so the question is, would you ever have a Q&A with a spiritual guru? And if yes, what would you like to ask them?
Well, we did some stuff with Sri, not him personally, but his second ranked and some of his teachers and all that, when they were promoting in a big way. I think, again, it depends on the individual. Some are fairly easy with a few rotten questions and tongue-in-cheek questions, but it's difficult. I want to be, if we can't be open and have a conversation, then I don't want to. But I believe there are a couple of them who are very funny and very easygoing, like Juggy. Yeah. He's supposed to have got a great sense of humor. I watched him for 10 minutes and he seemed to be self-deprecating and all that. So if that kind of guy, I can hang out, no problem. I just don't. If they take themselves too seriously, then we're going to say the wrong thing at some point.
Correct. And then how do you hold yourself from laughing?
You must never say take off that robe. I believe that's wrong. I would never say that.
So I mean, like, how do you deal with skepticism around certain things like this? I mean, like, sometimes you just got to be nice, even though you're skeptical, right?
Yeah, but see, then we are being prejudicial also. I don't want to go out there and think, okay, they're wrong.
No, but I mean, like,
because we
you're
are slightly
skeptical,
not
right?
spiritual and we are not slightly into religion.
If you're skeptical, but you got to hide that skepticism, right? I mean, like, because you don't want to be offensive to them also.
Fair enough, but I'm saying, why can't people just be normal, whatever they do? Yeah. If you're the Pope or the Cardinal or the Dasturji head of the Panchayat or the head priest, Hindu priest in the whole country, the biggest mutt, whatever, I'm saying when you come and sit with someone, why can't you just be normal? So why can't we have normal questions? We've had a few people like that. Yeah. So I think it's more about the personality. If they're easygoing, I'm okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. But otherwise, they're going to bring the baggage of who the great person is and, oh God, you've insulted the Vedas or you've said something out of context and, whatever. Then there's no point, because within 5 minutes, you'll shoot me.
Yeah. So in that regard, I think Catholic priests have eased up now. Like my uncle is a priest.
Really?
Yeah, and he's very chill now. I told him I'm an atheist now, and I went for Vipassana recently. So he had a very open-minded conversation about the benefits of Vipassana.
Did you explain which one is cheaper?
I told him Vipassana is cheaper.
Oh, then that's fair enough. And let me tell you, even in the Parsi community, there are very liberal people and very orthodox people, and it's more to do with their personality, with everything, whether it's with their children or whatever. So I go with that. But having said that, can we lay off the religious people for a while? India's too young.
Correct.
100 years later, we can do this.
Yeah. No, and there's no point. Why do you want to unnecessarily get somebody? I don't want my studio burned down.
I've got a simple solution. If there's any comic who said the wrong thing or irregular thing or slightly anti-central thinking thing, I just blame AIB. So I'm okay with that. Okay. I want it to go on like that for the next few years because somebody's got to take the blow for everybody. And these guys have come like warriors to the party. And God salute them.
Cool, that's it.
That's it? Yep. Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps. Please, we beg you, we need you. If you have any questions, write to us online and you can mail us as well. We will answer. We have a doctor in the house called May.
And that's what Cyrus says.
Excuse me, भैया. Excuse me.
बोलिए मैडम.
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस सेज है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वैक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, टिंग्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर जकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है. आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम. आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप. सब आपकी उंगलियों पे.